decided I'd probably chain record a bunch of stuff. I tend to get like this when I'm feeling really, what's the word, maudlin, I think, melancholy. I made myself something to eat. Green beans, a can of mushroom soup, and instant mashed potatoes mixed together. Let that cool off. So I got really upset because I saw what time it was, and it's the 21st now, and it's my mom's birthday. She would have been 71 today if she had lasted another month and a half or so. Maybe if you're wondering why I would record being like this, sad, everything, it's just, I guess it makes me feel less alone. The video, and there is kind of a connection to people who view the video that way. Happy birthday, miss you. It's gotten better, but trying to deal with all the stress of everything else and then deal with my grief too, it's not been easy. Sometimes I feel like the universe hates me. So much of the mistakes, I've made so many mistakes, and I know so much of it is my fault. But sometimes I do feel like the universe hates me for some reason. We can't help the way that our brains work. Can't You can't help it that you always hope and let yourself you tell yourself that you have more time, and you don't take precautions because you always think you have more time. Both of my great grandmothers lived to be in their 90s, and that was without modern medicine. I mean, they both died in the 90s, I believe. Yeah, the 90s. But they were both in their 90s when they died in the 90s. act, can't remember if it was Grandma Murphy or Grandma Deucing. One of them lived to be almost 100. I think she was only like 2 or 3 years shy. My, I've never knew my father. He skipped out when before I was born or just after, not long after. Like Grandma Wanda Murphy. She died. I don't remember how old she was. She had Alzheimer's. So, really, she died a long time before she died. She was gone before she actually died. So, I thought I'd have a few more years at least. Even though my mom wasn't in the best of health, she always just seemed to be tough, you know? Like nothing could ever actually keep her down. This last time it was an infection in her heart. And they couldn't beat it. The antibiotics just didn't work. She had lung problems for a long time, but that wasn't what got her in the end. It was a goddamn infection. November 15th, official time of death, 11:44. Didn't get there until about 10-15 minutes later. It was about 10 minutes later. It wasn't quite noon when we got up there. She died when we were walking through the hospital, or had just gotten there. Because she was at the Harry Hines Memorial Hospice at St. Francis, where I live. And I missed her. I didn't get to say goodbye then. And I miss her so much. You know, it's never, when you really do love a parent, you know, some people have a lot of hard times with their parents and it's a bad relationship. But when you really love a parent, it's hard to lose them. But when you've taken care of a parent for over a decade and they relied on you, and in some ways you still relied on them, there's so much more to it. It's not just the loss of a parent, a loved one, a friend. It's like losing your reason for existence. Because in a lot of ways, my life was taking care of her. And I never really applied myself to other things because I felt like my priority was her. So everything else became secondary, tertiary, just something else. And I fell into that trap of being complacent and too comfortable with things and made a lot of mistakes, but the biggest one of all was making that mistake of thinking I would have a lot more time than I have had than ended up having with her. I know I'm not looking at the camera. I'm just, I'm rambling and just thinking out loud and letting myself feel things. Try not to keep it all bottled up inside and shoved away. I've never been one to do that for the most part. I try to be stoic about a lot of things, but when it comes to the important emotions, I've always thought it was best to just let yourself go through it. I don't know that I'll ever really be over this. Don't think I ever will be. I don't just get hit by sudden hits of just absolute grief anymore, at least. After she first passed, it was just anything and everything was so hard. Just my uncle, he's even older. He's like almost 80 now, I think. He's not going to take me in. He's already helped me out a lot, so I know some people say, "Oh, you have an uncle. Why can't he?" That's not happening. Maybe as an absolute last resort, if he gets it through his head that there is no other option, maybe. He's old and stuck in his ways. But he does take me out to lunch sometimes, so I do sometimes get decent meals. And going to places to eat that my mom really loved, that's been real hard. Because that enjoying food was something over enjoying it, honestly. We've both always, she was always overweight and I've always been overweight. Just going to places to eat that where she really loved eating there. That, and just that feeling that, and it hits me that I'm never going to have a meal with her again. That's been really hard. Sometimes I go to the bathroom and her bedroom was the main room, and I look in and I see the empty bed there, and that can hit me sometimes really hard. I don't know. Oh, I miss her so much.